Tom lived in a small, quiet town where everyone seemed busy with their own lives. He was a single father, raising his 8-year-old daughter Mia on his own. Tom worked hard every day, taking 2 jobs to make ends meet. His first job was at a small grocery store, and the second was cleaning offices at night. Even though he was tired most of the time, Tom never complained in front of Mia. He wanted her to feel safe and loved, even if their life was difficult. Mia was a curious little girl with brown eyes that seemed to notice everything. She loved reading stories and drawing pictures, but she was often lonely. Sometimes she would sit by the window and whisper to her father, "Dad, I'm scared. Can someone look after us?" Tom would smile and hug her tightly. "Don't worry, Mia, I will always be here. No one can scare us as long as we are together." Their house was small and old. The walls were chipped and the paint had faded over time. There was a small garden outside where Mia sometimes tried to grow flowers, but it was difficult because the soil was hard. At night, the house would creak and make strange sounds. Mia would pull her blanket over her head and peek out with wide eyes. Tom would sit beside her, telling stories of brave heroes in faraway places until she felt safe enough to sleep. Even though their life was hard, Tom never gave up. He always believed that something good would come, even if he did not know what it would be. He wanted Mia to grow up strong and happy, to know that courage was more important than money or comfort. But on many nights when he sat alone in the dark kitchen, Tom wondered if life would ever change. He worried about the bills, about food, and about the small repairs their home needed. Sometimes he felt tired, but the thought of Mia kept him going. One rainy evening, as Tom walked home from his second job, the streets were empty, and the sound of rain hitting the pavement was the only thing he could hear. He held his umbrella tightly and hurried along. Something caught his eye near the side of the road. It was a small old envelope lying in the gutter. Curious, he bent down and picked it up. The envelope was soaked, and the paper inside was soft from the rain. He opened it carefully. Inside was a worn map with strange symbols and markings and a small note. The note read, "Find the treasure. It will change your life." Tom laughed softly, shaking his head. Treasure? Who would leave this here? The rain dripped down his jacket as he studied the map. The symbols seemed to mark paths through forests, rivers, and caves. Something about it felt real. Tom could not explain why, but a strange feeling of hope stirred inside him. The next morning, Tom showed the map to Mia. Her eyes grew wide with excitement. "Is it real, Dad?" she asked. Tom hesitated. He did not know if it was real, but he wanted Mia to have hope and adventure in her life. He smiled and said, "We can try, Mia. Let's see where it leads." Mia jumped with joy. She had never seen her father so curious and excited. They packed a small bag with essentials: sandwiches, water, a flashlight, and a small first aid kit. Tom also packed a notebook to record everything they found. He told Mia to hold the map carefully, and they set out on their adventure. The morning sun shone through the trees as they followed the directions. The path led them through the forest behind their house, a place Mia had only explored a few times. The forest was quiet, except for the sound of birds and the wind rustling the leaves. Mia held Tom's hand tightly, her small fingers wrapped around his. "I hope no one finds us, Dad," she whispered. Tom looked at her and smiled. "Don't worry, Mia, I am here. Nothing will happen to us." He could feel his heart beating fast, both from excitement and fear. As they walked deeper into the forest, the path became more difficult. Thorns scratched their legs and roots tried to trip them. Mia stumbled once and Tom caught her just in time. "Thank you, Dad," she said, brushing dirt off her dress. Tom patted her head. "Be careful, Mia. We must stay alert, but we are doing great." They followed the map for hours. It led them over small streams, through narrow caves, and past ancient-looking trees. The forest seemed endless, and the sun began to lower in the sky. Tom worried about finding their way back, but he remembered the map and trusted it. Mia's excitement never faded. She asked questions about everything they saw. "Dad, why is this tree so tall? Dad, why does this water smell like flowers?" Tom answered patiently, feeling a sense of wonder he had not felt in years. Finally, after a long walk, they arrived at a clearing. In the middle of the clearing was an old chest partially buried in the ground. Its wood was dark and the metal clasps were rusty. Tom knelt beside it, brushing off the dirt. "Mia, this could be it," he said quietly. Mia's eyes sparkled. She had never seen anything like this in real life. With effort, Tom opened the chest. Inside were stacks of old papers, jewelry, and piles of gold coins. But what caught their attention most was a sealed envelope, marked in bold letters. $200,000. Tom could not believe what he saw. He looked at Mia and she stared back, unable to speak. Tears welled up in Tom's eyes. "Mia, this can change everything," he whispered. Mia hugged her father tightly, her small arms around his neck. "Really, Dad? We won't be scared anymore?" she asked. Tom nodded, holding her close. "Yes, Mia, we will be safe now. We can dream bigger and nothing can stop us." For the first time in years, Tom felt hope, true hope. But even as excitement filled their hearts, Tom knew they had to be careful. Treasure like this could attract many people, and not everyone would have good intentions. He promised himself that he would protect Mia and make sure they used this discovery wisely. For now, though, he let himself feel joy. He let Mia feel joy. For the first time in a long time, they believed that life could be better. As they walked back home, carrying the chest carefully, the forest seemed less frightening. The creaking trees and rustling leaves felt like part of their adventure, not a threat. Tom held Mia's hand tightly, thinking about how far they had come. "We found this together, Mia, and together we will make our life better," he said. Mia smiled and nodded, her heart filled with trust and excitement. When they reached their small home, Tom placed the chest in a secure corner. Mia ran to the window, looking at the stars beginning to appear. "Dad, do you think tomorrow we can open the envelope?" she asked. Tom smiled. "Tomorrow we plan carefully. Tonight we rest. This is only the beginning of our new life." For the first time, Tom felt that change was possible. The struggles, the loneliness, the fear, they were not over, but there was hope now. The $200 million was more than money. It was a chance to live without fear, to give Mia a better future, and to prove to the world that even a single father in a small town could achieve something extraordinary. Tom tucked Mia into bed that night, telling her stories of courage and hope. She fell asleep smiling, her fear gone, replaced by dreams of adventure and happiness. Tom stayed awake a little longer, thinking of all the possibilities, all the ways he could use this treasure to build a safe and joyful life. He knew challenges would come, but for now he allowed himself to imagine a life full of hope, love, and endless possibilities. The morning sun peeked through the small curtains of Tom and Mia's room. Mia woke up early, her eyes shining with excitement. She ran to Tom, who was sipping his morning tea. "Dad, can we open the envelope today?" she asked eagerly. Tom smiled, feeling both excited and cautious. "Not yet, Mia. We need to think carefully. This is a very important discovery, and we must plan carefully." Mia pouted slightly but understood. She trusted her father. She knew Tom always had a plan. After breakfast, they went outside to look at the chest. It sat quietly in the corner of the small living room, its metal clasps gleaming in the sunlight. Tom gently ran his hand over it, feeling the weight of what they had found. $200 million was unimaginable to him. He could picture a life without fear, a life where Mia could smile freely and they would never worry about bills or food again. Tom realized that the first step was to secure the treasure. He thought about banks, lawyers, and safety measures. He also thought about the world outside, where not everyone would be kind. People might try to take the treasure if they found out. He decided that they would keep the discovery a secret, at least until he knew how to protect it. Mia, curious and full of questions, asked, "Dad, what will we do with all the money?" Tom laughed softly. "We will use it wisely, Mia. We will make sure it helps us and also helps others. But the first thing is to keep it safe." Mia nodded, understanding that money could be both a blessing and a challenge. Tom remembered an old friend who had become a lawyer in a nearby town. His name was Mr. Collins. He was known for being honest and careful. Tom decided to call him. The phone rang twice before Mr. Collins answered. "Tom, it has been a long time." "How are you?" he said warmly. Tom explained briefly, careful not to mention numbers or too many details. He asked for Mr. Collins' advice about securing a very valuable discovery. Mr. Collins promised to help immediately. The next day, they drove to Mr. Collins' office. Mia sat quietly in the car, holding the map in her lap. The city streets seemed bigger and brighter than their small town. Tom could feel his heart pounding. This was a new chapter in their life, a chapter filled with possibilities and unknown challenges. Mr. Collins listened carefully as Tom explained how they had found the chest and what it contained. He nodded thoughtfully. "Tom, this is extraordinary. But you must understand, people may try to find out about this. We need to secure the treasure in a bank and make legal documents to protect your rights. We can also create a plan for your future." Tom felt a wave of relief. Finally, he had someone to guide them. After leaving the lawyer's office, Tom and Mia returned home. Tom felt more confident. "Mia, we have someone to help us. We will be safe and we will also use this money wisely," he said. Mia hugged him tightly. "I'm glad, Dad. I feel safe when you are with me." Tom smiled, realizing that safety was more than locks or walls. It was the love and trust they shared. The next few days were busy. Tom opened a secure bank account with Mr. Collins's help. They counted the gold coins and carefully recorded everything. Mia watched in awe. She had never seen so much gold in her life. "Dad, it looks like magic," she whispered. Tom chuckled. "Yes, Mia, but it is real and we must be careful." Even with all precautions, Tom noticed small changes in their neighborhood. People who had never paid attention before suddenly seemed curious. One day, a man came to their door asking questions about old documents and historical items. Tom politely told him they did not know anything. He felt a little nervous but did not let it show. He knew that keeping calm was the best way to protect Mia. As the days passed, Tom and Mia began to enjoy small freedoms they had never had before. Tom bought a few new books for Mia, and she spent hours reading stories under the warm sunlight. He fixed small things in the house that had been broken for years. The garden started to bloom again as Tom planted flowers and vegetables. Life felt lighter, but Tom knew that challenges were still ahead. One evening, Tom and Mia sat together in the garden. Mia held the map again, tracing the paths with her finger. "Dad, do you think there are more treasures like this?" she asked. Tom smiled, considering. "Maybe, Mia. But even if there are, we must focus on what we have now. This is enough to change our lives and help others. And perhaps that is the real treasure." Mia nodded thoughtfully. She liked the idea that treasure was more than gold and money. Their lives started to attract attention quietly. A few neighbors who had avoided Tom before began to greet him with smiles. Some even asked if he needed help with small repairs or chores. Tom appreciated the kindness but kept the treasure a secret. He knew that not everyone had pure intentions. Protecting Mia was more important than anything else. One afternoon, while cleaning the attic, Tom found old letters and documents that seemed related to the treasure. They were written by someone named Mr. Hammond, a wealthy man from the past who had hidden his fortune long ago. The letters described the importance of using the treasure wisely and warned about greedy people who might try to take it. Tom read the letters to Mia. "See, Mia? We must be careful and smart, but we also have the chance to do good." Mia listened intently, her eyes wide. She understood that this treasure was not just about wealth, it was about responsibility. As days turned into weeks, Tom and Mia settled into a routine. They were careful and cautious, but they also allowed themselves small joys. Mia invited a friend from school to play, something she had never done before. Tom laughed as the girls ran through the garden, their laughter filling the air. For the first time, Tom realized that happiness was possible. They were not just surviving, they were beginning to live. One evening, as the sun set in beautiful orange and pink hues, Tom sat on the porch with Mia. "Dad, do you think people will try to take the treasure from us?" Mia asked softly. Tom held her hand. "Some people may, Mia, but we are smart, careful, and together. No one can take our courage, our love, or our trust. That is stronger than any treasure." Mia smiled, feeling safe and confident for the first time. Tom also thought about the future. He wanted Mia to have an education, friends, and opportunities he had never had. He began planning quietly, imagining schools, books, and experiences that would help her grow. The treasure was a key, but the real goal was to create a life full of safety, joy, and learning. Even with all the planning, Tom felt small moments of fear. What if someone discovered the treasure? What if something went wrong? But he reminded himself that fear was natural. Courage was moving forward even when afraid. He had faced struggles before, and this was another challenge he would overcome. Mia's small hand in his made him feel stronger. By the end of the month, Tom and Mia had not only secured the treasure but also strengthened their bond. They had shared adventures, learned patience, and discovered that courage and love were more powerful than fear. The 200 million was incredible, but the lessons they learned along the way were priceless. Tom tucked Mia into bed that night, just as he had done every night before, but now with a new sense of hope. Mia, tomorrow is another day, a day for learning, planning, and dreaming. We have a wonderful chance to make our lives better. Mia smiled sleepily, feeling safe and happy. Good night, Dad. I love you. Tom whispered back, I love you too, Mia. Always. As the house grew quiet, Tom thought about the journey ahead. The treasure was not just gold and money. It was a test, a responsibility, and a chance to grow. He knew that challenges would come, but for the first time he felt ready. Together he and Mia could face anything. Together they could turn this discovery into a new beginning. The forest, the chest, and the map had changed their lives forever. But the real change was in their hearts. Tom felt courage, hope, and determination. Mia felt safety, love, and excitement. They were ready for whatever came next. Life was starting to change for Tom and Mia. Their small home felt warmer, cleaner, and brighter than it had in years. The garden bloomed with flowers, and Mia's laughter filled the air. Yet Tom knew that wealth could attract attention, and not everyone in the world had good intentions. He remained vigilant, careful to protect Mia and the treasure. It started with small signs. One morning, a neighbor who had never spoken to Tom before appeared at the gate. He smiled politely and asked casual questions about the town and Tom's work. Tom answered politely, keeping the treasure in mind, and sent the man on his way. Later that day, a different neighbor lingered outside, staring at the windows and pretending to be lost. Tom felt a small chill in his chest. He knew people noticed their sudden improvements. They were becoming visible in ways they had never been before. Tom discussed the situation with Mr. Collins, the lawyer. We must make sure the treasure is completely secure, and we must be careful with our public presence, he said. Mr. Collins nodded. Tom, you are right. Some people may try to deceive you, but with proper legal protection, careful banking, and discretion, you will be safe. Remember, secrecy is your first defense. With Mr. Collins's guidance, Tom set up additional safety measures. He placed the treasure in a secure bank vault, accessible only to him and Mia under controlled conditions. He also set up legal documents ensuring that no one could claim it without proper proof. For the first time, Tom felt confident that they could enjoy their lives without constant fear. Mia was delighted to see her father less worried, and she felt safer at home. Even though they were safer, challenges continued to appear. One afternoon, a man approached their home, introducing himself as a historian, interested in old maps and treasures. He claimed he had knowledge about the chest and the fortune it contained. Tom listened politely but kept the truth hidden. He smiled and said, I'm sorry, but we are not interested. The man left, but Tom could see him looking back at the house as he walked away. He knew curiosity could turn into greed quickly. Mia noticed her father's cautious behavior and asked, Dad, why do people keep looking at us? Tom held her hand and explained, Sometimes, Mia, when people see others improving their lives, they may feel curious or jealous. We must be smart and protect ourselves. Mia nodded, understanding that life required careful thinking as well as courage. Despite the challenges, Tom wanted Mia to enjoy life. He enrolled her in a nearby school where she could meet other children. Mia had never had many friends because they had moved often and had little money. Now, with more stability, she began to socialize, laugh, and share her stories. Tom watched her make friends and felt proud. He realized that safety and happiness were more than money. They were about love, trust, and opportunity. One day, Tom received a letter that worried him. It was anonymous and suggested that someone knew about their discovery. The words were vague but threatening. Tom stayed calm. He showed the letter to Mr. Collins, who assured him that they were taking all necessary precautions. Tom, do not let fear control your life. You are prepared and you have a plan. Continue to act carefully and wisely, Mr. Collins advised. Tom also decided that the treasure could be used for good, not just personal comfort. He began planning ways to help others quietly. He helped neighbors with repairs, donated to the local school, and gave small amounts to families in need. Mia watched her father's actions and learned a valuable lesson. "Dad, helping others feels good," she said one evening. Tom smiled and said, "Yes, Mia. True treasure is not just gold. It is kindness, courage, and making a difference." One afternoon, Tom and Mia decided to revisit the forest where they had first found the chest. Mia held the map carefully, remembering their journey. The forest looked the same, but the experience felt different. They knew adventure and courage were not only about discovery, but also about understanding responsibility. Tom showed Mia how to navigate carefully, avoid danger, and respect nature. Mia listened intently, learning to be brave and smart. While exploring, they found a small hidden clearing filled with wildflowers. Mia ran and laughed, picking a few to bring home. Tom smiled at her happiness. He realized that even in a life full of challenges, moments of joy were always possible. "Mia, life is like this forest," he said. "Sometimes it is difficult and full of obstacles, but there is always beauty if we look carefully." Mia nodded, appreciating her father's wisdom. Back home, the threats did not stop completely. One evening, a man knocked at the door, pretending to deliver a package. Tom did not answer immediately. He watched the man from a small window and noticed his nervous glance toward the house. Tom waited until the man left, then called the police to report the suspicious behavior. He knew that safety required vigilance and patience. Mia asked, "Dad, are we safe now?" Tom held her hand and looked into her eyes. "We are safe, Mia. We are careful, and we have good people to help us. But we must always be alert. Courage does not mean ignoring danger. Courage means acting wisely even when you are afraid." Mia smiled, understanding that bravery was more than strength. It was careful thinking and responsibility. As weeks passed, Tom continued planning for the future. He thought about education for Mia, improvements to their home, and opportunities to make a difference in the community. He began teaching Mia small lessons about finance, responsibility, and decision-making. Mia was curious and asked many questions. "Dad, how can we use the treasure to help others without making them greedy?" Tom smiled. "We help quietly, Mia. Small acts of kindness matter more than gold. People will remember kindness, not just money." One evening, Tom reflected on their journey so far. The chest and $200 million had changed their lives, but the real change was in them. Tom felt more confident, capable, and determined. Mia felt safe, loved, and happy. Together, they faced challenges with courage and intelligence. They had discovered that true treasure was not only wealth but trust, wisdom, and love. Tom knew that challenges would continue. People might try to take advantage of them, and the world could be unpredictable. Yet he also knew that with careful planning, courage, and love, they could overcome anything. He felt ready for the next steps, prepared to protect Mia, and determined to use the treasure wisely. That night, Tom tucked Mia into bed. "Tomorrow is a new day," he said softly. "We have learned a lot, and there is more to learn. We will face challenges, but we will do it together. That is our strength." Mia smiled sleepily and whispered, "I love you, Dad." Tom kissed her forehead. "I love you too, Mia. Always." As the moonlight filled their home, Tom sat quietly, thinking about the future. He imagined a life where Mia could grow up free from fear, where they could help others, and where happiness was measured by love, not money. The treasure was a tool, a key, and a responsibility. But the real reward was the courage and hope it had brought to their lives. The journey had only just begun. Challenges would come, but Tom and Mia were ready. Together, they would face every obstacle, protect each other, and build a life full of joy, courage, and meaning. The $200 million was extraordinary, but the bond between father and daughter, and their shared determination to do good, was priceless. The weeks passed, and life for Tom and Mia began to feel different. Their home was brighter, safer, and filled with small joys that had been missing for years. Flowers bloomed in the garden, new books filled Mia's shelves, and the kitchen smelled of warm, home-cooked meals every evening. Yet Tom knew that even with their treasure secured, life required careful thought and planning. Money could help them, but it could not solve everything. One morning, Tom sat at the kitchen table with Mia, a notebook in front of him. "Mia, we have an opportunity to do more than just live comfortably," he said. "We can help others, and we can build a better future for ourselves. But we must plan carefully." Mia looked up, her eyes curious. "How can we help people, Dad?" she asked. Tom smiled. "Sometimes even small acts can make a big difference. We can give to schools, help families who are struggling, and create opportunities for children like you." They started with their small town. Tom donated supplies to the school where Mia studied. Books, stationery, and sports equipment made a big difference. Teachers thanked him warmly, and Mia felt proud to see her father helping the community. It gave her hope and taught her that wealth could be a tool for good. "Dad, this feels nice," she said one afternoon. "Helping people makes me happy." Tom nodded. "Yes, Mia. Happiness is multiplied when shared with others." The improvements in their home and town did not go unnoticed. Neighbors who had once ignored Tom and Mia began to greet them politely. Some even offered help with small chores like gardening or repairing the house. Tom remained careful and polite. He never revealed too much about the treasure, but he accepted kindness with gratitude. He wanted Mia to see that trust and respect were as valuable as money. One day, Tom received a call from a distant relative he had never met. The relative had heard about the discovery and wanted to meet Tom. Tom agreed to a meeting but remained cautious. When the relative arrived, he seemed curious but polite. Tom and Mia welcomed him into their home, and over tea they listened to his story. He was a historian, interested in ancient treasures and local history. Tom realized that not all attention was bad. Some people were genuinely interested in learning, not just in wealth. Mia watched the visitor carefully. She noticed that he was kind and respectful. Tom whispered to her, "Mia, sometimes people are good. We must learn to tell the difference between curiosity and greed." Mia nodded, understanding that life was about judgment and careful choices. With the treasure secured and plans for helping others in motion, Tom also focused on Mia's future. He enrolled her in art classes and encouraged her to pursue her hobbies. Mia loved painting and storytelling, and for the first time she had the chance to develop her talents. Tom believed that nurturing her skills was as important as providing safety and comfort. One afternoon, Mia painted a picture of the forest where they had discovered the chest. She showed it to Tom, her eyes shining with excitement. "Look, Dad, this is where we found the treasure. I drew it just like I remember." Tom looked at the painting and smiled. "It's beautiful, Mia. You captured it perfectly. And just like your painting, our life is full of color now, even if it started in darkness." Despite the joy, Tom remained aware of potential threats. He and Mr. Collins reviewed their security plans regularly. They updated bank accounts, changed codes, and made sure the treasure was protected at all times. Tom knew that vigilance was necessary, but he also realized that living in fear would take away the joy they had gained. He balanced caution with normal life, teaching Mia that responsibility and happiness could coexist. One evening, as the sun set in golden hues, Tom and Mia sat on the porch. Mia held the map they had used to find the chest. "Dad, do you think there are more treasures out there?" she asked, her imagination wide open. Tom smiled. "Perhaps, Mia. But treasures are not always gold. Sometimes the real treasures are knowledge, friendship, and love, and we have found many of those along the way." Mia hugged her father tightly, feeling safe and loved. Tom also thought about bigger goals. He wanted to invest the money wisely so that it could last a lifetime. He considered buying a small farm where Mia could explore nature, planting orchards, and creating spaces for children to play and learn. He even dreamed of building a small community library where children could discover the joy of reading just as Mia did. Every idea made him more determined to use the treasure not just for themselves but for good. As the days went by, Tom and Mia's lives became a balance of adventure, planning, and joy. They visited the forest regularly, exploring safely and learning about plants, birds, and wildlife. Tom taught Mia about responsibility, courage, and kindness through their experiences. Mia learned that life could be exciting and full of possibilities if one was brave and careful. One day, while exploring a new trail, they found an old abandoned cottage. The place was hidden behind thick trees and vines. Mia's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Dad, can we see inside?" she asked. Tom examined the building carefully. It seemed safe enough, and he wanted Mia to enjoy the adventure. "Yes, Mia, but carefully. Stay close to me." They stepped inside, discovering old furniture and paintings covered in dust. It was like stepping back in time. Tom imagined what life had been like for the people who lived there. Mia touched the old walls, fascinated by the history. This adventure reminded Tom that life was not just about money. It was about discovery, learning, and sharing experiences. The treasure had opened doors for them, but curiosity and love gave meaning to their lives. Tom realized that adventures, lessons, and memories were as valuable as gold. Back home, Tom and Mia continued to improve their lives. They planted more flowers in the garden, painted the walls of their home, and shared small joys every day. Tom also made plans to help a local school expand its library. Mia suggested adding a reading corner with colorful cushions and small desks. Tom smiled at her ideas, realizing that even a child could make a big difference. One evening, Mia asked, "Dad, are we really safe now?" Tom held her hand and looked into her eyes. "Yes, Mia, we are safe. We are careful, and we have made good choices. But life will always have challenges. Courage and love will help us face them." Mia hugged him tightly, feeling comforted and strong. She understood that life was a mix of joy, learning, and careful decisions. As the moon rose high in the sky, Tom sat quietly, reflecting on their journey. The chest, the forest, and the treasure had changed their lives, but the real transformation had happened inside them. Tom felt confident, brave, and hopeful. Mia felt loved, safe, and curious. They had learned that wealth was a tool, but courage, love, and wisdom were the true treasures. Tom realized that the best days were ahead. With careful planning, thoughtful decisions, and courage, he and Mia could face any challenge. Together, they could build a life full of meaning, joy, and hope. The $200 million had given them the chance to dream bigger, but their love and determination would create a life worth living. Mia drifted to sleep that night, holding a small drawing of the chest. She dreamed of forests, adventures, and happiness. Tom watched her quietly, grateful for the journey they had taken together. He knew that challenges would continue to appear, but with love and courage they could overcome anything. For the first time, Tom truly felt that a new beginning was possible. The treasure had given them security, but their bond, their lessons, and their hope were the true start of a wonderful life. Together they would explore, learn, and grow, facing the future with courage, wisdom, and love. Life had settled into a new rhythm for Tom and Mia. Their home was filled with warmth, laughter, and the small joys that they had always dreamed of. Flowers bloomed in the garden. The kitchen was always fragrant with home-cooked meals, and Mia's artwork decorated the walls. The $200 million treasure had given them comfort and safety, but Tom knew the most important changes were the ones inside their hearts. Mia had grown more confident and cheerful. She played with her friends freely, sharing stories of her adventures in the forest and the discovery of the chest. She often returned home with small treasures of her own, like brightly colored stones or feathers, and Tom smiled at her excitement. He knew these small discoveries were teaching her to notice beauty and joy in everyday life. Tom continued to focus on using the treasure wisely. He had invested part of the money to ensure that it would last a lifetime. Some of it was allocated for their immediate needs, like improvements to their home, educational opportunities for Mia, and small adventures to help her learn about the world. The rest he set aside for helping others. He had built connections with local schools, small businesses, and community centers to provide resources for children and families who needed support. One afternoon, Tom and Mia visited one of the schools they had helped. The children crowded around them, curious and excited. Mia handed out small gifts of books and stationery, while Tom spoke to the teachers about new programs. Seeing the joy in the children's faces filled Tom with pride. "Dad, look at their smiles," Mia said. "We are helping so many people," Tom nodded. "Yes, Mia. And remember, happiness grows when we share it with others." The town had begun to view Tom differently. Once considered a struggling single father, he was now respected and appreciated. People admired his courage and the way he had chosen to use his discovery for good rather than selfish gain. Tom remained humble, knowing that true wealth was not measured by money alone but by kindness, courage, and love. Even with all the improvements and recognition, Tom never lost sight of the small joys of life. He spent evenings teaching Mia about simple skills like cooking, gardening, and drawing. Mia loved these lessons not because of the treasure, but because she was spending time with her father. They also explored new areas around their town, walking through forests, visiting rivers, and observing wildlife. Every trip was an adventure and an opportunity to learn. One day, while exploring a quiet path near their home, Mia asked, "Dad, do you think we will find another treasure like the chest?" Tom smiled and thought carefully before answering. "Mia, treasures can be found everywhere. Not all of them are gold or money. Some treasures are knowledge, friendships, and experiences. Every day we live and every kind act we do is a treasure in itself." Mia nodded, understanding that life's greatest rewards were not always visible or material. Tom also taught Mia about responsibility. He explained how decisions must be made carefully, and that even good opportunities could have risks. "Mia, courage is not about being fearless. It is about making the right choices even when you are afraid," he said. Mia listened carefully, learning lessons that would guide her throughout her life. She understood that their journey was not only about discovering a treasure, but about becoming wise, kind, and brave. Over time, Tom found more ways to help his community. He funded a library in the town, providing children and adults with books, learning materials, and a safe space to read and study. He also supported a small park, adding benches, swings, and flower beds. Mia often helped him plant flowers and organize small events for children. They became a team, working together to make their town a better place. As the months passed, Tom and Mia's life became fuller and richer in ways that money alone could not provide. They had built friendships, learned valuable lessons, and discovered the joy of giving. The treasure had given them security, but their courage, love, and generosity had brought meaning and happiness. One evening, Tom and Mia sat on the porch watching the sun set in brilliant shades of orange and pink. Mia leaned her head on her father's shoulder. "Dad, do you think we will always be happy like this?" she asked softly. Tom held her hand and smiled. "Mia, happiness is not about having everything. It is about appreciating what we have, sharing with others, and facing life with courage and love. As long as we do that, we will always have happiness." Mia closed her eyes, feeling safe and content. She thought about their journey, the small, lonely house, the forest, the chest, and now the life they were building. She understood that every challenge they had faced had brought them closer together and taught them important lessons. She felt proud of her father and grateful for the life they shared. Tom also reflected on their journey. The 200 million had changed their circumstances, but it had not changed who they were. They remained humble, kind, and strong. Tom realized that the treasure was only a tool. It allowed them to live without fear and to help others. But the real treasure had been the courage, determination, and love they had discovered within themselves. With careful planning, Tom ensured that their future would remain secure. Mia would have access to education, experiences, and opportunities to grow. They would also continue to help others in their community, teaching her the importance of kindness, empathy, and responsibility. Tom wanted Mia to understand that life was a series of choices, and each choice could lead to joy or challenge. One weekend, Tom and Mia returned to the forest where the chest had been discovered. They walked slowly, observing the trees, birds, and streams. Mia picked a few wildflowers to take home. "Dad, do you think people will always try to take treasures?" she asked. Tom looked around at the peaceful forest and said, "Sometimes people may try, Mia, but the greatest treasures are not gold or money. They are courage, love, and wisdom. Those cannot be taken by anyone." Mia smiled, holding her father's hand tightly. She understood that life's real rewards were the lessons they learned, the love they shared, and the joy of helping others. The treasure had given them the chance to live safely, but it was their hearts that had guided them toward a truly happy life. As the sun set, Tom and Mia returned home. Their hearts were full of hope and peace. Tom tucked Mia into bed as he had done every night, feeling grateful for the journey they had shared. "Good night, Mia. Remember, we have everything we need inside us: courage, love, and hope. "Those are the real treasures," he said. Mia smiled, drifting into sleep, feeling safe and loved. In the following weeks, Tom and Mia continued their routine of learning, exploring, and giving. They balanced safety with adventure, wisdom with joy, and planning with love. The town continued to benefit from their quiet generosity, and their bond grew stronger each day. Tom realized that life's challenges would never fully disappear, but together they could face anything. One bright morning, Mia ran to Tom, holding a small notebook. "Dad, I wrote stories about the adventures we had with the chest in the forest," she exclaimed. Tom knelt beside her, reading her stories with delight. Each story reflected her imagination, courage, and the lessons she had learned. Tom felt proud of her growth, knowing that her future was bright and full of potential. As the years went by, Tom and Mia's life continued to flourish. The treasure had given them security, but their choices, actions, and love had given them meaning. Tom had created a safe and joyful home, and Mia had grown into a thoughtful, kind, and brave young girl. Together, they had transformed their lives, proving that courage, wisdom, and love were the greatest treasures of all. One evening, as the stars filled the sky, Tom and Mia sat on the porch reflecting on their journey. Mia leaned against her father, whispering, "Dad, I think we found the real treasure." Tom smiled, holding her hand. "Yes, Mia, we did, and it will stay with us forever." The $200 million had brought them safety, comfort, and opportunities, but the greatest reward was the bond they shared, the lessons they learned, and the happiness they had created together. Tom and Mia had turned a discovery into a life full of meaning, hope, and love. They had faced challenges, made wise choices, and embraced joy. And in the end, they had discovered that the true treasure of life was not gold, but courage, kindness, and the love they shared with each other and the world around them. Tom watched Mia sleep that night, peaceful and content. He knew that the journey would continue, filled with new experiences and adventures. But he also knew that together they could face anything. Their lives had been transformed not only by the treasure, but by the courage, wisdom, and love that had guided every step of their journey.